Hi, it's Lisa. Oh my gosh. This is the first time that I have ever recorded Financial Freedom Fridays. Usually, for those that aren't that are newbies, Financial Freedom Friday is usually just a newsletter. I share a little bit of what's going on in our life, and then I try to keep it at a 4 minute read. And I knew that there was no way I could keep this at a 4 minute read. So I decided to record it because I really want you to get this. Okay. So it's Friday. Um, and on Wednesday of this week, I will put the links in the email. On Instagram, I did a post on competing priorities. Now, what's important is I plan all this out. So I know exactly what I'm going to talk about days in advance. I record those videos days in advance so I can stay ahead of things, and that way life doesn't take over. Okay. So I had no way of knowing that when I recorded and wrote the posts for competing priorities that were to go out on Wednesday, that we were going to have this massive discussion around competing priorities on Wednesday. I kid you not. It's just nothing but God. So I wanted to finish competing priorities this week, and give you real insight into how Keith and I do this on a regular basis. Because the reality is, we've been doing this for years, okay? All right, so a little history for those of you that are new. Keith and I are in year 10. This is our 10th year in Kansas City. Our next wedding anniversary will be our 10th wedding anniversary. And in January, we will celebrate, if you want to call it that, 10 years of the medical challenges that we've been experiencing. Okay. We paid off $300,000 in 5 years. We finished that in 2017. And of that 300,000, over $120,000 was medical expenses. Okay. I'm not going to call it debt because we never took out a loan for our medical stuff. We cash flowed that amount while we were getting out of debt. Okay. So that's why that number is medical expenses. I stopped counting for a long time because it just was crazy. But the reality is, from 2017 to 2021, we have amassed another 80,000 in medical. So we are well over $200,000 in medical expenses, in the last 10 years. We both have heavy metal poisoning. I have mercury poisoning from fillings that were in my mouth that leaked into my body. And Keith was on the ground for the first Afghan war, and was exposed to a whole manner of toxicities as a result of that. So we have been fighting heavy metal poisoning in a variety of different forms literally for the last 10 years. Okay. Why is this important enough for me to tell you about it now? Well, it's year 10, and we were planning this massive celebration. Our church is going to Israel in April, and our plan was to go with our church. The cost of the trip, $10,000. So there's this whole 10 everywhere, and so we registered, we made our down payment, we purchased our airline tickets, and we were all set to go. And we stumbled upon a new doctor, who is giving fresh perspective to how to get out of our heavy metal toxicity. So basically, from the overview, he has realized, or helped us to realize, that we're doing all the right things to get the toxins out, as in unattach them from our cells. The problem is we haven't figured out how to get them out of our body. So we detox, and then we detox again, and we detox again, and it's just been a vicious cycle like that for the last 10 years. And so he has this process which will allow that us to learn how to get that toxicity out of the body so we can once and for all be healed. Okay? Guess how much it costs? You got it. $10,000. So the conversation that Keith and I had on Wednesday of this week was, do we wait since we've already committed to this $10,000 trip to Israel? Or do we take Israel off the table and take that $10,000 and get well? Or do we do what I have been praying about before this even started? And I call it come to the end of yourself, where you are at the end of what you can do and you allow God to take you the rest of the way. Okay? So, through lots of prayer, lots of discussion, we are both going through the program at $10,000. And we are ready to cancel Israel before January 22nd, 2022. If we can't get to 20,000 by, if we can't get to 10,000 by January 22nd, 2022, we are poised to cancel Israel. That is a massive example of competing priorities. Now, you might be saying, well, you paid off 300,000 in 5 years. Why can't you come up with 20,000 in 5 months? Because that's really where we are. And it's not that we can't. The question is, do we want to? See, the difference when we were getting out of debt, we were not contributing to our 401k when we were getting out of debt. So all of that money was added to our debt snowball. We don't want to pause retirement so that we can go to Israel, because that's really what it's about, okay? So we're not going to pause retirement so we can go to Israel. We've also recently started investing in the stock market, and we don't want to pause the stock market to go to Israel, okay? So if we took those things off the table, then it would be a no-brainer. We would be able to do both and not have a problem. But we don't want to, again, see those as options. See, when I was getting out of debt, before Keith and I met, I used to do what I call, I saw my savings account as an extension of my checking account. So anytime there was not money in my checking account, I would just go pull it from savings. And in most instances, I didn't put it back, and therefore it was not available the next time something came up. And that's how I eventually ran through my savings and was back in debt. Okay? So we're not interested in not putting money into our retirement accounts. We're not interested in not putting money into our investment accounts. We're not interested in not having money in our short-term savings account, which is our money market account. Those accounts are not available in our minds because we don't want to not continue to add to those. So the medical expenses and the trip to Israel, which both cost $10,000, must be paid for out of our existing household money. And that's not easy to do in 5 months. So we made the really tough decision to put Israel on the chopping block. And I'm hoping and praying, I'm going to say, that we don't have to cancel Israel, but we are both ready to pull the trigger and do so because our health is the most important priority right now in this bucket of very expensive competing priorities, okay? But in the realm of competing priorities, our retirement account is not an option. Our investment account is not an option. And our savings account is not an option. And that's the difference in how we manage our money, and we're able to get out of debt and stay out of debt in the majority of the rest of the world. Okay? The rest of the world would have just put it on a credit card. It just is. We're not going to do that. The rest of the world would have pulled it from savings. We're not going to do that. The rest of the world would have paused adding to their retirement account or adding to their investment account. We're not going to do that. So, am I going to be super bummed if I have to miss Israel? Absolutely. Am I going to get over it if it has to happen? Absolutely. Okay. This is honestly, this is how you manage competing priorities. This is how you get there. You put everything out on the table and you slowly scratch away the things that are not as important and you get to what is important. We even talked about one of us going through the program first, and we didn't want to do that. We wanted to go through together and, just be able to help each other and support each other as we both get to healthy, right? Because it's all about being healthy and wealthy. So we want our physical bodies to be healthy and wealthy also. Okay. So I knew there was absolutely no way I could get that in 4 minutes of a read. And I just thought you might find value in being able to hear how we talk through these things. Because, so many times when we are working with our coaching clients, they're like, man, this whole adult thing, this is for the birds. And this is one of those scenarios where it would just be so much easier to do what we want to do as opposed to what is best. There's a day in Financial Seasons, and I will find it and include it in the link below. It is called Good, Better, Best. And this is the question that you want to ask yourself when you're working on competing priorities. What is good for you and your family? What is better for you and your family? And what is best for you and your family? And when you look at your decisions through the lens of good, better, best, it makes all the difference in the world. It is good for us to be able to go to Israel. It is even better for us to go to Israel because it's on our bucket list. It's a once in a lifetime trip, right? But what is best for us? What is best for us is to, I'm just going to say, not get to the end of a $200,000 medical journey and not pull the trigger on that last 10,000. Is it the last 10,000? We're praying it is. We really are. Both of us would just love to be completely healthy and void of all of the medical symptoms that come along with heavy metal toxicity. But we know this. If we don't spend this $10,000 right now, we truly could be missing out on the next best year of our lives. And we just don't want to do it. And we're willing to sacrifice Israel so we can be healthy. So I hope your competing priorities aren't so extreme. The Lord has us in this incredible place, and what we are called to do this work. And because we're called to do this work, there's typically not much that we haven't experienced that you guys are going through. And this is just another one of those things, So we're going to take it in stride. We're going to continue to pray that we get to January 22nd, 2022 with a full 20,000 so we can finish out our detox. And what's ironic is our detox ends right as the trip to Israel is slated to begin. So wouldn't that be awesome to be able to do both and experience Israel without brain fog? To experience Israel without inflammation in our joints, to experience Israel without, all of the headaches and the fatigue and things of that nature that we've been battling these last 10 years. So if we get to do both, praise the Lord. If we don't, praise the Lord, because we will then be able to set up a different once in a lifetime experience. And I believe that God can do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or imagine. And if there's a delay associated with that, so be it. Because Joseph experienced a delay as well when he was put into prison and sold into slavery, put into prison, and all of those things. And then God used his frustration, his situation to elevate him in ways that he literally could never have imagined. But he dreamed about it. He just didn't know how long that dream was going to manifest itself, or how long it would take, I should say, for that dream to manifest itself. So I just want to encourage you, if you're getting out of debt, get after it. Stop taking all these detours. Stop letting competing priorities bump your debt snowball because it's something that quote, want to do. You know, let's just do it, guys. And I'm going to say this here, and I've said it before, and you will definitely hear it again. There will always be more to do with your money than you have the money to do. So I hope this first video version of Financial Freedom Fridays was helpful for you. We're excited. We really are. We can't wait to see how God shows up here. But I just didn't want to miss the opportunity for you to see how we do this, because we had to noodle through this a lot this week in order to get to this place. And we're thankful and we're excited. So there you have it. Okay. See you next Friday. Bye.